Carl and Brendan here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhbl.com for short. And it is tier list time as we make a return to a continuing tier list series. This is us attempting, giving it our best shot, or at least our opinion anyway, of the best and worst of rock and metal vocalists. This is the third part. We've done 2 previous parts over the past year or so, ranking 30 unique vocalists within the rock and metal spectrum, quite a large one, and we're going to continue that by doing another 30 with the eventual end goal. Maybe, I don't know how many we're going to get to before I think, yep, that's enough. Maybe when I really feel like I'm struggling to find names and starting to pull them out of, you know, local bands and things like that. But for the time being, doing this list, I started off going, oh, I'm not really sure who else I can look at, and then ended up pulling out some that I was like, oh shit, we haven't put them in a list yet. So there are still plenty. Yep. Of course, it's going to be split into 5 categories. We're going to have iconic, great, good, meh, and rubbish. And like we previously said in the other videos, eventually we should be making a tier list that is made up of the iconic vocalists only. So in theory, eventually we might get down to what we might consider the best rock and metal vocalists overall, you know. And of course, you know, I'll go back to the very first video. We have some controversial opinions, you know. I think that the first video we ummed and ahed and ended up not putting Chester Bennington in the top categories, basically, for our own personal reasons. The second one also has some as well, where people would certainly argue that us putting Danny Filth, for example, an iconic, was downright wrong. But it is our opinion. It's down to a number of things, not just the talent of said vocalists, because that's easy to recognize. Most of these vocalists would all end up in great and iconic because they are what they do. Then it just comes down to personal taste. Do I like the sound of that bloke's voice? Not really. Or that woman's voice? Not really. You know?
Yep.
It's nothing more fair. Yeah. Okay, so 30 vocalists. We're going to start off with Anders Frieden, who is the vocalist of In Flames, best known for being the vocalist of In Flames, the melodic metal band, melodic death, Swedish melodic death as well. Obviously, famously, one of the pioneers, or at least early bands of that Gothenburg specific scene. I feel like I'm pretty damn familiar with this dude's voice, particularly when I hear it. I almost hear a song like Come Clarity straight away.
Yeah, I'm familiar, very familiar. Obviously I'm a fan of the genre anyway.
Yeah.
Flames, I wouldn't say they're like one of my favorites in the genre, so that kind of impacts on it, you know, not straight away, but it's that whole thing again, isn't it? I'm aware he's a good vocalist.
Yeah.
For me, he's not iconic. What? Give me those categories again. Iconic. What we got below that? Great.
Good. Meh. Rubbish.
Right, I'm gonna write these down so that I don't keep forgetting them.
Yeah, if it was actually, I'm doing the tier list separately on my laptop, so I can't screen share. That's why.
Right.
But you already said you kind of went good, and I'll be honest, that's what I'm leaning.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's a good vocalist.
Yeah, it's a good vocalist. Yeah. I agree. Simple as that. Let's put them in good. Get this tier list off and rolling. Okay, this might be hard because I know obviously you're very familiar with this band, but I wonder if you could differentiate between the vocalists. We're going back to the early days of AC/DC, the original vocalist, Bon Scott.
Yeah.
Yes. So
the truth is I can't.
Yeah.
You say the word AC/DC, and all I can hear is the sort of modern sort of sound, screechy, and I'm struggling to put Bon Scott's voice in. To be honest,
I also have that problem. That partially comes from a general uninterest in AC/DC's music overall. But as soon as I start thinking of AC/DC, I'm thinking of Brian Johnson. I am. It's immediately what's coming to mind. I can hear his voice and so on. However, I have enough knowledge about Bon Scott to know that while there are similarities, it's also quite different as well. And he has got some talent. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm just going to be straightforward with it. I'm going to put him in good. but I'm going to put him after Anders because for me, it's nothing that excites me.
Sounds fine to me. Fine to me.
Okay, then. Speaking of the other one, it is Brian Johnson of AC/DC. One as we already said, basically a hell of a lot more familiar with. And this is proper going to be, I feel like might be where we land in controversial, or maybe we'll just be okay.
Okay. So he's quite an old school sort of sounding vocal, and I guess kind of more. I think of people like a Lemmy sort of thing, where you go, look, you're not traditionally a person I look at and say you're a good singer. Though I totally get that your voice is great for the band and what you're trying to do and the energy you're trying to capture.
Yeah.
But for me, on a personal level, I would go down to meh. But that's just simply the fact that I've got no problem with Brian Johnson. I'm just not a fan of AC/DC, and that includes his vocals. That's just a fact,
Yeah, it should be stressed here, and we'll repeat it again because we know people behave on the internet. When we say, and I agree with you, I think Meh's a place I want to put him as well. We're not saying he's a meh vocalist. We have ears. We understand. His voice is perfect for AC/DC. I can hear Thunderstruck in my head, but I also hear that, and it's just like that does not work for me. It does not work for me at all. That's it.
Not my taste. It doesn't mean he's a bad human. I don't want him killed or anything like that. We're not saying, like you said, we're not saying he's a meh vocalist. It's just, to me, I find his vocals to be meh.
That's where he's going. He's going to meh. There we go. Scream at us in the comments section. Okay, then. Chad Gray of Mudvayne. And obviously Hell yeah. So this is an interesting one, I think, because I can't decide if Chad Gray is a good vocalist or a bad one, like a bad one. And I hear the songs in my head and I think, okay, there's a uniqueness to his voice that maybe stands out from maybe the new metal crowd. But fuck me, is it really had any impact when I think about it?
I'm trying to get Dig out of my head.
Try and get Not Falling in your head. There's a one that's quite vocal on him.
Problems with when anyone says the word Mudvayne, that instantly it just goes dun dun dun, dun, dun. You're like, oh, stop. He's got quite I wouldn't say good, but like his aggressive vocals I do think are decent, but I don't think they stand out decent. I just think they're run of the mill decent.
Yeah.
His cleaner vocals, I'm picking out like songs like Nothing to Gain and stuff like that, where you get like a kind of bit of a blend.
What's the song where it kind of opens with him just sort of crooning?
Yeah, that's Nothing to Gain, isn't it?
That is horrible.
Yeah, and that's one I'm stuck on. That's what I was going to say. Like, and then I'm getting Nothing to Gain for his clean vocals, and I'm not enjoying them either. So for me, I think this is also meh, and I'd put him probably even after Brian as well, to be honest with you.
You said it. I was thinking it. Yeah, I put him there as well. I agree with everything you said there. It doesn't do anything for me. Yeah. Now we'll go to the extreme end, because it is George Fisher, aka Corpse Grinder of course, Cannibal Corpse. A legend in the death metal, extreme metal world, I wouldn't, like, say for example, if you played a ton of like death metal records from different bands in a row, I don't think I'd be able to go, well, that's obviously Corpse Grinder, because of course the kind of guttural death metal vocals are quite interchangeable.
Yeah.
But I also understand that, ever since taking up the spot on Cannibal Corpse, he's become an icon because of that. And there are so many bands that have imitated his style.
Yeah. It's just it's a difficult one, isn't it? Like all of these sorts of this genre, not only this genre, but many of these genres, purely because like in some of them, it's quite easy to go, yeah, like he can do this, he can do that, or she can do this, she can do that. They've got all this different range and everything like that. But in this, you're kind of judging them on almost like a singular style. Now, I do obviously know quite a lot of Cannibal Corpse, but I guess not in super fandom sort of level. So I don't know, like, if everything I say would be factually true, but everything I've heard of Cannibal Corpse has been a single style.
Mm.
You know, I don't know if somebody could pull out a deep cut where he croons a bit.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised. And I can 100%, because we like the style of music, because I love the style of music, say that I think he's a phenomenal vocalist in that style. But I don't know where that puts him in my head in terms of like being a phenomenal vocalist overall.
Let's condense it then into death metal. On that, he is ultimately one of the best and a great vocalist. I'm leaning towards putting him in great based off that, because it's such a huge, it's not just like a subgenre where we're doing, you know, suicidal, depressive, blackened death metal and breaking it down to that. This is death metal.
Let's put him in great.
Yep. Let's do it. Yeah, because as well, we don't want to be here all night.
No.
Up next then, Derek Green, Sepultura, a vocalist that does not get the credit. Maybe these days he is getting more of the credit than he ever did in the past, because obviously he was always in a difficult position. A vocalist that I enjoy way more these days than I did in the past. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it was just mainly an anti-seps thing for a while. But I got a lot of love and respect for this dude. And I also think he's a killer vocalist. I personally, I think I'd put him good.
Yeah, I mean, I second everything you're saying. So I agree with you 100%. I think he's a very, very strong vocalist too. So, you know, I'm happy for him to go in good. My only difference was like when you were talking, I was like the kind of bottom end of great. But if it's going to be bottom end of great or top end of good, so it's kind of interchangeable, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I would put top of good above Anders.
Yeah.
Okay, there he goes. All right, I did laugh at putting this next one in here, probably because, like a lot of the other ones that have been an iconic, your Aussies, your Dios, your have we done Bowie yet? Might be in there. I'm not entirely sure. Meatloaf and people like that. There comes a point where the hilarity of ever narrowing it down to one is going to be stupidly impossible.
Yeah.
This man has the potential to not just take the top, but not just in iconic, but take the top spot overall. It's Freddie Mercury of Queen.
Yeah. Well, he's iconic. that was easy.
Supposed to say, right?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing, like I said, you know, he's one of the greatest vocalists of all time. I guess when you apply personal taste, you know, in my head, I'm like, there's one person I have above that, but you know.
I wouldn't necessarily say he's my number one in the entire of vocalists as well.
But you know, there's no luckily, like people like Freddie and that, like you said, Meatloaf and stuff like that, they're so easy to categorize. It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's just, iconic. Done.
And it's as simple as that. He's an icon. Okay. Up next, we have Jeff Tate of Queensryche. Familiarity with Queensryche is sketchy, to say the least. Off and off over the years. I'm obviously aware of kind of like Operation Mindcrime and Operation Mindcrime 2 more than anything else. I think I reviewed or listened to the latest album. I think it was maybe a couple of years ago or last year or so on. Can't actually remember. So I'm familiar with Jeff Tate and so on. But like judging his vocals, if you'd asked me to sort of go, well, describe him now, I'd struggle.
Yeah, so I'm struggling, to be honest with you. So, I mean, you just have to base it on what you remember from the past, to be honest with you.
I'm going to base it off the fact that I think he's a good vocalist. I can hear his voice in certain songs from Mindcrime and stuff like that, but I'm not familiar enough with him so he goes along Bon Scott, but ahead of Bon Scott because he's Jeff Tate. Don't know how modern that picture is. Looks like an old one. Okay, maybe one bit more familiar with here. Greg Puciato, aka the vocalist of the Dillinger Escape Plan, but also one of the vocalists of Killer Be Killed. And I imagine other things that I'm not too familiar with, but they're the two that I know jump at. Dillinger, which is a band I love, and Killer Be Killed. Actually, I love Killer Be Killed as well. They kick ass as well. Greg Puciato, I'm a huge fan. I think he's an immense vocalist. I think most people would often just go to him kind of going a bit crazy and heavy and hardcore-y kind of like screaming stuff and shouting and all that. But the dude can also sing. some of my favorite songs involving him have a bit more mellow voice stuff to it as well, like that. It's so, I would recognize him. I'd be like, oh, that's Greg Puciato singing there. You know, that's how it is for me. So for me, it's great.
You can have great. I obviously I know the Dillinger and Escape Plan are, but I don't listen to them a lot, so I haven't really got a huge amount of opinion on that. And the problem with Killer Be Killed is there's about 42 different fucking vocalists across the album, so I'm like, which one was he?
Okay, I'll put him in great, but at the end after Corpse Grinder, because Corpse Grinder. Okay, one I know you, well, one I 100% know you're familiar with. It's the ex-Killswitch Engage, and I can't remember the name of his current band, but it's Howard Jones.
Yeah.
I'll let you take it away.
Let me take it away. Where do I put him? I think I would put him in as, man. Yeah, I'm in that that nice little pocket again. There's this nice little pocket where you have like the back end of great and the front end of good. See, I think Howard Jones is a very, very strong vocalist. And I like his vocals. You know, where am I going to go? Let's go top of good.
Cool. The reason why I wanted to leave Matt Gray, and I agree that top of good above Derek Green's a good shout, because I also think an immense vocalist, but and easily recognize him. But is it fair to say that he has, well, I mean, obviously more than one style, but it's a similar style across all his bands?
Yeah, but then, you know, Corpse Grinder's great.
Yeah, but
don't get me wrong. I still like. I'm not arguing against putting him great, because I think top of good is right.
Let's put him at the bottom of great, and the reason I have a reason for this. Let's put him in great, because that way he moves on to the next round, because it's iconic and great to go through. But there's a reason why we might want to put him in great. I'll tell you now. The other one's coming up. The other one is coming up. But before him, well, this should be interesting. It's Ihsahn of Emperor and Ihsahn and all the other shit he's done over time.
Or 4,000 bands.
Yes, I for each one I just chose the most obvious work, and I figured Ihsahn, Emperor, and himself is more than enough. And you get everything with this dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And instantly, my head went to iconic. Instantly, he's genre creating, his solo stuff. Like you said, it's so cross genre that every singing style, like he can sing beautifully, he can really fucking have it with the best of the black metal crowd. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think this guy's vocal range is immense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Second everything. If you see, say for example, a track that's guesting him, you hope that it's not going to be on guitar.
Yeah,
you hope it's going to be in vocals. Didn't Matt Heafy's side project have Ihsahn, but he wasn't singing on it?
No, he was on guitars on the single that got released.
What are you doing? So iconic, but I think we both agree here after Freddie.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
I think that's fair.
That's mad, isn't it? Like, we've got a competition between Ihsahn and Freddie Mercury.
Oh my goodness me. My God, you know, you can imagine if Freddie Mercury was still alive, Ihsahn would have done a duet or collaborated with Queen in some way, you know. And it's the other one. It's Jesse Leach, Killswitch Engage first vocalist or early vocalist, and Killswitch Engage's current vocalist. The whole reason why I argued for Howard Jones to go in great is because, simply put, I think Jesse Leach is a good vocalist, a very good vocalist. I'd put him near the top, probably top above Derek Green, but I wanted him separate from Howard Jones because Jesse Leach doesn't maybe do as much in Killswitch for me as Howard did.
I think that's fair. I'm happy enough for him to go there.
Nothing to add?
Not particularly, no.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Nice and straightforward. The thing with Killswitch is I've never been a massive Killswitch Engage fan.
Yeah.
Not massive. Like, I know a lot of their work, of course. You know, and I like a lot of their stuff. That's the thing. It's the crazy thing about them. And I've seen them live a couple of times. So considering all of that, and then I say I'm not really that big a fan, it's like, oh, hang on. maybe I accidentally am and I didn't realize it.
Yeah, you know what? Bloodstock 2023 will be interesting because Killswitch, one of the headliners, we will, of course, check them out. And I do wonder if, after an hour and a half of it, we're there for the full thing because it's all the hits we know, it's all the music we know, where it's like, shit, they killed it. I am wondering.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. That's the hope. Right, we are back to super controversial one. We know this. When I put it in, I was like, fucking hell, this is going to be the one. King Diamond of Merciful Fate, and of course King Diamond. Now, folks, if you want to stop this video and go watch our track by track for Merciful Fate's debut album, you can see how controversial our opinions about King Diamond's vocals were there. I don't think we can sugarcoat this. I know what you feel, but I will say what I feel, and you can add your own. I simply don't like them. I struggle with, and I don't have a problem with high vocals, but this is a level that, while extremely talented to do it, it just cuts through me. I struggle to like the music a lot of the time because of the vocals. So for me, I can't believe it. I want to put it in rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you say. I guess the only thing that's making me pull him a bit out of rubbish is because I remember doing the track by track.
Yep.
And he doesn't constantly scream, right? That's the thing. And when he's not screaming, I remember doing the track by track and being like, oh, I really like this one. And then at the chorus, it goes too much. But actually, when it was a verse, he's singing, I really enjoy. So it's like, yeah, you're right. I don't want to listen to Merciful Fate or King Diamond not because of his vocals, but because of the time in his vocals when he decides to move and just, I don't even, for me, it's screeching. Like, do you know what I mean? It's so I'm feeling more like a kind of mer thing, as in like, I just don't really want to listen to it rather than that. I think he's shit. If he didn't do the screaming and he sang the normal style the rest of the time, I think I'd probably quite enjoy it.
I think you make some strong points there. I 100% agree with you. You are right. But I also then think, considering how we described Brian Johnson's vocals and how we felt about them, he belongs alongside Brian Johnson. But I would prefer that Brian Johnson higher than King Diamond, because I think I like that.
Yeah,
more.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally, if King Diamond is screeching, there is nothing, no tiniest amount, respect or anything like that wants to be anywhere near that. I can live with AC/DC to a degree. I mean, I'll still choose to not, but you know.
Yeah, right in the middle. Chad Gray's the lowest one at the moment. Sorry, Chad. Okay. I don't know if you'll know the name, unless I have familiar with the band, but you'll know the band when I say it right. This is Klaus Mine with an E, so M-E-I-N-E. It's the frontman, the vocalist of Scorpions. So that band. Yes, a band that I'm going to be straight up, folks. What, why, them, really? That big? Are you kidding me? Don't get it at all. But also familiar with the vocals, obviously, really because of the hits more than anything else. Yeah. And I think they're good. Bottom of good.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't really have much opinion on them. Like you said, everything I know is from like 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's that. It's just that. Yeah, bottom of good. Yeah, you can go right. Bon Scott go higher because I'm more familiar with that. Okay. Interesting. I feel like we'll both be on the same page with this one, but I'll say it and then you can start us off with this one. It's Kurt Cobain, obviously, of Nirvana.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because the man is iconic, but his vocals are not. Whether we agree he should be iconic or not is a different thing, but he is. But for me, his vocals are, where do I even put them? I don't even think he's not an iconic vocalist, right? He's also not a great vocalist. I think he's a good vocalist.
Yep. Do you want me to run down?
Yeah.
Right. So is he better? Or would you is he better or worse? Would you prefer to hear him over Jesse Leach at the top?
No.
Derek Green?
No.
Okay. Anders from In Flames?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Jeff Tate? Queensryche?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably have him in there, but that's just because I haven't really got much of an opinion on Queensryche. But
that works perfectly there because we know Jeff Tate, Bon Scott, and Klaus are all good vocalists. So Kurt Cobain can happily sit amongst them right in the middle. I might have put him higher and good, but you've given me some happy with this. We did agree on this because naturally you almost go icon immediately because he's an icon.
Yeah.
But then I'm reminded of like his vocals and I'm like, yeah, okay, they're good. And the fact that that's what comes to mind straight away, that's the level it is in my head. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, you will be familiar, but I don't know what your opinion will be on his vocals. It's Lane Staley the ex-Alice in Chains vocalist, the early Alice in Chains vocalist, probably for many of their hits that people recognize, Rooster, and So On, Wood, and all that. So, I mean, I'll throw out what I think. I am going to be totally straight up about this. I think he's a great vocalist. I think he was incredibly powerful, incredibly crooning when he needs to be. It wasn't about roaring and screaming with him. He had power behind his vocals that gave Alice in Chains' grunge sound a bit more meat, you know, a bit more oomph to it. But he could also, like I said, lull ya. A track like Rooster is good for that. I'd put him in great, but bottom of great.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have any strong opinions on him, to be honest with you. So
great it is then. All right, this might be one really where it's about the past more than anything else, but that's how it is sometimes. Lita Ford, the first woman for this round.
Also for me in great.
Yep.
I think she's a great vocalist. Give me the rundown on the people that are in there.
So in great, we've got Corpse Grinder at the top.
Yeah.
Then we've got Greg Puciato, Howard Jones, and then Lane Staley.
I mean, I'm happy for her to just go in the bottom of great, to be honest with you. I think she's a strong singer. I was a big fan of her voice, you know, as well as the songs, but also of her voice. She's got like a nice gravelly kind of rocky edge to it.
Yeah. Very
sexy. So yeah, I think she's a great vocalist.
Yeah, I second this. I don't have a lot of history with Lita Ford. I'll always remember playing Brutal Legend, that game, and there was a Lita Ford track in that, and something about the Black Tears. I can always remember the calling at the sea of black tears and thinking, God, that voice is immense, and that's what I always come back to. So yeah, great, bottom of great. Why the hell not? Lita Ford. Sticking with the women, Hailstorm vocalist Lizzie Hale. I think she's talented. I think she's got a decent amount of range. Hailstorm do very little for me, though. That's the thing. Hailstorm as a band do very little for me. So for me, I'm like good, but like near the end of good, maybe like after Kurt Cobain, that kind of area.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't really listen to Hailstorm. I never really have. I can't even place her vocals in my head at the moment. So
that's it. That's it. Okay, then. I think one you'll be a lot more familiar with, depending upon which version of this man's voice. It's M Shadows of Avenged Sevenfold. Now, what I mean, of course, people by different versions, of course, his vocals are quite different from what they were early. And then, of course, he had to change and adapt because of damage to his vocal cords. And it's a lot more clean singing than anything else. But, you know, credit to him for being able to adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do I put him though? The thing is, like, I'm not a massive Avenged Sevenfold fan, right? I could out straight away, but they're obviously a massive band, so you know, there's no way in the world I haven't listened to a lot of Avenged Sevenfold songs. It's impossible not to have. I've always used to prefer Avenged Sevenfold songs when they were slower, emotional ones, songs like "Seize the Day" or that sort of stuff, because I thought he sang them better. Whereas stuff like The Stage and all that, I really didn't enjoy his voice. And that was the weird thing for me. Like, so actually, as they've changed, as he's adapted, as they've got older, I actually prefer his voice now to what I did back in the day.
Yep.
So weirdly enough, for me, modern M Shadows is in great, and past M Shadows is in good.
Right, so that's where you're at. So let me throw mine out and see where we land. So it's funny you brought up Season of the Day, because I remember that track by track, and we had very different opinions on that track. I fucking did not like it. I found his clean singing a lot of the time downright obnoxious to my ears. And that's a common theme I find with a lot of his clean singing. It's not a overt dislike, because then I think of some of the bigger hits. Afterlife, I think he sounds really good on that, you know. Mm-hmm. But then I think, God, what was my early memories of Avenged Sevenfold? And I was listening to Avenged Sevenfold back in Backcountry. That's an album, is it? I think that's an album. But earlier stuff when he was heavier. And the thing is, like, I really liked it growing up. But now I think it's probably a bit more ho-hum, because it's based off. I'm in the same boat.
But the opposite way around.
Yeah, it's the opposite way around. So
that means that there's two people on this video, and you rate him as great for his earlier days, and I rate him as great for his later days. So I think that's got to be enough to justify a positioning great, even if it's at the bottom.
I reckon that's cool. You're happy to put him after Lita Ford, yeah? Or above?
For me, I'm happy for him to be after Lita Ford.
Yeah, I think we do that. I think we do that. You're absolutely right. Okay, another one that's I think all over the place. It's Matthew Tuck of Bullet for My Valentine. This is always a funny one for me because I don't really rate him as a vocalist overall. It's part of it maybe is because I don't really rate Bullet for My Valentine, even though I know the band well and stuff like that. But I know he's a good vocalist. I know he is. Of course he is. But again, I think, God, when he's going like raw and he's got a bit guttural and he's screaming and all that, I'm like, that don't do much for me. Even back then, it didn't do much for me. And then I think obviously as basically, when I think of as clean singing, I think of one song or one song only. And I don't ever want to hear that song again. So I don't want it even in my fucking head. Yeah. So I'm torn in this one. I'm leaning towards good because I think he is a good vocalist.
A terrible waste of water in that song. It's terrible.
Yes, in fact, you know it as well, what song I'm referencing.
Yeah. Yeah, but like again, I'm not a Bullet for My Valentine fan. I don't think I'd ever have classed myself as a fan. I know that song, of course. I know other songs. I never listened to those songs, even back in the day or like now, if I heard them and I thought, oh, I hate this song, but oh man, that guy can sing. Like, do you know what I mean? I never got that sort of stuff from it. So yeah, this is probably going to come down to personal taste more than saying like because that dude can't sing, because I'm sure he can sing just fine, but it's not for me. So I'm feeling like this probably feels harsh, but I feel like he should be in the meh category.
Let's do it. But yeah, I think we'll put him top above Brian Johnson because the overall package is more in keeping. But yeah, let's do it. I feel exactly the same. It's generally just like, yeah, you know, I know he's a good vocalist, but it does so little for me. It really does. Yes, this is going to be another interesting one. It is the man, the legend, the icon, Max Cavalera.
Oh, I was going to say, you said icon, so that was easy.
Yes, he is an icon. This is where we break it down. Similar to what we did with Lemmy about vocals.
Yes, so obviously, and also like, you know, I think in terms of live as well, like, you know, you're talking like modern performances. I think Max on record still, with the help of, you know, studio mics and all that sort of stuff, can come across with a lot more power than he can now manage live. At least the last time I saw him, which I think might have been at Bloodstock.
It was, you know, yeah, Soulfly.
Yeah, I think that was the last time I saw him. And while he's still sounding good, he doesn't sound as good. That's the fact of it. You know, it's not a diss. He's an older bloke now. Like, he still can roar and he still can shout and he's still an absolute fucking icon. But vocally, he's not a great vocalist. He's a good vocalist.
So, I mean, I kind of want to lean towards the overall package as well about the past and now. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Whatever sort of trickery or work goes on in the studio to make it sound as good. But I will say the last sort of Soulfly releases I've fucking loved, and I've loved a lot of his vocals based around them. I feel like there's no question that I would recognize Max Cavalera's voice no matter what track he was on. It is its distinct style. I lean towards great because of personal feelings more than anything else, because I have grown up and listened to Max Cavalera in some form singing in my ears for nigh on, what, 25 years.
Yeah, look, I love Max Cavalera, so I'm more than happy to stick him up as high as you want, to be honest with you, just because it's Max Cavalera, so just go for it.
If we did that with Corpse Grinder, we'll put him up there, but after Corpse Grinder, because Corpse Grinder arguably defines a genre, and that's going to keep him there. Right, we're going to have a debate here, I reckon. Although maybe not, because you do recognize talent when you hear it. It's Michael Poulsen, the vocalist of Volbeat.
Oh, right.
Now, there's a very distinct style of rockabilly, but fuck me, this guy is so fucking good at what he does. And do not forget, he can also do death metal vocals. He was in a band pre-Volbeat that did that, and has been known to growl on occasion, even with Volbeat. But let's be honest, we all know him for that, you know, kind of higher singing, rockabilly kind of beat, fast-paced spitting style he's got. But fuck me, is it amazing. For me, it's iconic, but the end of iconic.
The thing is, because I don't like Volby, I don't
Mm.
listen to Volby, and that's
Yeah.
what makes it difficult to argue back and say, "Oh, he should be in rubbish," or I'm not that I want to, but like, or anything like that, because you know, I've listened to a couple of songs, I didn't enjoy the band, so I never listened to it much more. That's just the fact of it. So, you know, I've got nothing I can argue back against you. For all I know, he could be the world's greatest singer. You could have sold that to me because I'd just say, well, oh, okay, I didn't realize.
All right.
So there you go. Welcome to Iconic, Michael.
Yes, I'm going to do it. Volbeat fans, you know I'm right in this one. And I'm not even that big of a fan these days. Okay, I feel like, again, we've done a track by track for this this band or this artist, and I'm pretty sure I remember all we did was praise his fucking voice. It's Quorthon, of course, of Bathory fame. Yeah, I have an absolute deep-seated love of this artist's voice. I absolutely adore. Weirdly enough, unlike a lot of people, I like what came after the black metal. I like that side of thing. I love his clean singing. I love his range and that. That's what I love. The black metal side, it's fine. If we were judging on that, I'd put it in good. Yeah, it's good black metal music, voice and that kind of thing. But man, oh man, when it comes to his clean singing, that dude, that was where it was at.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember the album well. Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. But yeah, I mean, it's iconic for me.
Yeah,
I think it's phenomenal. I also prefer the Viking stuff to the black metal stuff, but even in the black metal stuff, he's still got a great voice. So, you know,
we'll put him above Michael Poulsen because we're both in agreement on this one. But did we put him above or below Isan? Below, right?
below, yeah.
Yeah. Funny that yeah, Bathory and Emperor alongside each other. There you go. Who says we'd not metal, eh?
Yep. Everyone can stop bitching about Danny Filth.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's gonna be fun when we get to the final of this. But if Danny Filth, Isan, Quorthon, Jesus, black metal's royalty. Not in the royalty category, but whether or not we consider him having a good voice is up for a debate. It's Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
Recognize the gravelly voice pretty much everywhere, though. I recognize his style. I would recognize Rob Zombie as long as he hasn't fucked around with too many effects most of the time.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, we'll pick out which part's him singing and which part's some like synth in the background that's covering him singing.
This is going to come down to personal taste because I can't openly sit here and say, nah, I don't think he's got a good singing voice. I know he does, but it's going to come down to taste. And
yeah, the thing is, I don't like any of the music, but when I listen to, well, even when we more recently did whatever that Rob Zombie album was that we did, I can't remember which one it was.
Hillbilly Deluxe. I think it was Hillbilly Deluxe.
Even that, while I didn't like a lot of the songs on it, I never at any point had an issue with his voice. It wasn't that was my issue. It was the rest of the shit going on. You know, I don't think, and considering I was quite hard on that album, I don't think at any point in that track by track that I turn around and say, God, he's a terrible singer or anything like that, you know? So I think he is a good singer. I think he can go in the good category.
Yeah.
Personal taste sees him probably not go too high up it.
Well, let's choose a middle point and then go from there. Would you rather hear him or Kurt Cobain?
Oh, that's unfair. I have to hear either.
Yeah, neither is, yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'll probably rather listen to Kurt Cobain.
Okay, I'm kind of I'm down with that as well because I do like Kurt's sort of mellower, kind of relaxed voice, whereas I don't think Rob Zombie really has tracks that do that. I mean, well, then we get to Lizzie Hale of Hellstorm. I think there then.
Yeah.
No, oh my god, this is actually really hard.
Rather listening to Rob Zombie or Lizzie Hale?
You know what? I'm gonna put him above Lizzie Hale, yeah, actually, because I just don't really care for Hellstorm. At least I know I recognize Rob Zombie music more.
Yeah.
Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin fame. Obviously, when you talk about Led Zeppelin, you kind of have people almost, you know, oh, you've got to kind of do this. You know, you've got to think this and you've got to feel that and stuff like that. And truth be told, I've never really got into the band. Never really cared for him. And even when I sort of hear Robert Plant's voice, I'm like, yeah, it's nice. It's got power behind it. But that's about it for me.
Yeah, I don't have strong opinions either. I'm like most well, I don't know if I'm like most people. I'm like a lot of people in that. I know the Zepp sort of hits, the big ones, and they're well sung and decent, and decent songs. I've got no problem with them or anything like that, but I never became a fan or anything. Never really listened to Robert Plant, never listened to Plant and Page or any of that stuff. So I'm aware the guy can sing. He's a good singer.
Good again, then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's find a spot. Robert Plant or Rob Zombie? Oh shit! I'm gonna say.
See, out of that, Robert Plant.
Oh, I was going to say Rob Zombie. Shit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Let's choose another one. All right, Kurt Cobain or Robert Plant? So I'm leaning towards Kurt.
Yeah, so am I.
There, then.
Let's put him after Kurt. Yeah.
Yep, and after Kurt. There we go. That's it. Okay, we've got 5 more. And I'm pretty sure you're familiar with all of them. Steven Tyler of Aerosmith.
Wow.
Well, this is something, to say the least.
Yeah, he's got a very distinctive voice. You got to give him that.
Yep.
In the songs for Aerosmith, he's got one of those. It's again like one of those ones where it's like, you got probably the bang perfect voice for Aerosmith. I'm fucking not a fan of Steven Tyler's vocals, though. I'm really not. I don't like them in the sort of faster, more rocky glam stuff.
Yeah.
I also don't like them in the ballad style. So I don't have. I'm trying hard to like scour through like catalog in my head and be like, is there one? But I keep getting stuck on the one I hate the most, which is and it's his vocals that I hate about it the most, and it's the song "Sweet Emotion."
Oh.
And all I can hear is that sweet, and I'm just like, oh, stop. So yeah, I get that he's like got like that unique, distinctive stuff, and like for an Aerosmith fan, I could imagine like absolutely fucking adoring the man. I've got no problem with the guy, but we talk about bands like the vocals not doing anything for me, man. Like this is there.
It is 100% that. You're thinking of those songs. I'm thinking of "Dude Looks Like a Lady" and "Don't Want to Miss a Thing" as the two sort of that are either end of the scale for me. One with that high pitch, and the other with that sort of melodramatic power, but it fucking does nothing for me. Which means it has to go along the others. It has to go alongside Brian Johnson and King Diamond. Would you put him above Matthew Tuck?
Not for me, no. I mean, if I had to listen to either one, weirdly I'd listen to Bullet over Aerosmith.
Okay, then what about Brian Johnson? Oh,
that's where I feel like that's a close like call. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of what I'm hearing in my head. So, I guess out of the two, I probably like a few more AC/DC songs than I do Aerosmith.
But I think Steven Tyler goes above King Diamond. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Right in the middle then. Yep, that's it. I agree. One we're very familiar with, it's Tarja Turnian, the ex-Nightwish vocalist and her own solo stuff, an operatic singer.
Yeah.
Oof. Kind of feels like it goes in one place only, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it has to go in iconic.
Yeah.
She is a phenomenal singer.
Phenomenal is the understatement, yeah. Still as well, to this day.
Yeah, I'm not a massive like fan of all of the stuff she does solo because obviously she's a classical operatic singer by trade, so therefore a lot of the stuff doesn't always coincide with metal, but she just always sounds fucking amazing, to be honest.
I'm gonna throw her above Michael Poulsen as well because she's got range. So like that, but after Bathory, after Quorthon, and after Isan and Freddie. I don't think anyone's knocking Freddie off the top spot. Tobias Sammet of Avantasia, however you say it, and Ed Guy, I should say Ed Guy, but I don't really listen to Ed Guy. It's Avantasia that I'm more familiar with. The last 2 albums, in fact, I reviewed for the site, so kind of really got a handle on this bloke's voice, and he is fucking immense. Like, I'm still constantly blown away by Avantasia. I keep saying it wrong, Avantasia. And it's one of those bands that I desperately want to see live, but because there's such a stage show, they don't come around much, and it comes with a hefty price tag.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying about him as a vocalist. Weirdly for me, it's the other way around. Like I know less of Avantasia than I do of Ed Guy.
Oh,
so there you go. It's one of those things. But he's I don't think his vocal style in either band or project is particularly different. But Ed Guy is very much in the power metal camp, so similar soaring power. So he's a phenomenal vocalist. Where did you want to put him?
I'd put him in great,
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
trying
cool.
to work out where. Let's choose a random point. Howard Jones, above or below?
I think he's probably all round a better vocalist than Howard Jones.
Okay, that brings us to Greg Puciato, and I would put him above Greg. That brings us to Max.
I think he's a better all round vocalist than Max, as much as we
And
like
it brings
Max.
us to top of the great. It's Corpse Grinder.
Well, I mean, the reason we've kept Corpse Grinder up there so long is because of that genre-defining sound, and that doesn't change here.
Doesn't change. Agreed. There it is. Yep. Given Tobias high position though. Two more. Okay, it's Vilvallo of Him. Ooh, this. Look, Eve, I don't even think he's that good of a fucking vocalist. That's the truth of it. I immediately come in at meh on his vocals, on a personal thing more than anything else. Then I take the whole package into fucking consideration, and we do the whole, like, we recognize he's a good vocalist, but it's not for me. That thing. Here I'm doing, I recognize that I don't think he's a good vocalist, but it's also really not for me. I'm proper, like, either bottom of meh, maybe even rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. Weirdly enough, like, and again, I don't think his vocals are strong in it, but weirdly enough, the only thing I've seen from him or him in particular recently was that they did the Eurovision representing Finland.
Did they?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think it was representing Finland. They was representing somebody. I'm sure it was him. And yeah, it was. I know it was. I'm just gonna quickly check.
Yeah, check that. Yeah, because I'm
sure it's right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't pay any attention to your test, so I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure or not. But yeah, if he did, well, that's weird as fuck. Knows.
Oh my lord. Maybe maybe no, I'm not. I'm getting it around the wrong way. No,
Okay.
sorry. Jesus Christ, it's Rasmus who did.
Oh, Rasmus did it. Of course, Rasmus did it. You know that.
Yeah, sorry. So there you go. That was the one thing I thought, he actually sounded all right in that, but that wasn't even him.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm happy for him to go in the rubbish then. If that was the, I struggle like with a lot of these bands, like where almost like one negative song is the residing memory in my mind, and I get this with him instantly of one song that just pops into my head, and I hate it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. It's our list. Our list. Remember that, our opinion. And that brings us to the last one. It's Wayne Static, the late Wayne Static of Static X, of course. It's a unique voice. I think it's quite recognizably unique. Trying to think if I ever really heard him sing clean.
Yeah, I haven't listened to Static X anywhere near the level you have. I never really felt they were much of a band. I think the closest I got to clean, but it's not really clean, is Cold.
Even that's got that. Yeah, I mean, it's got.
It's whispered in it, like kind of spoken word almost.
This is a tough one because I think he's a really good fucking vocalist, like with the style he does and how it works. I mean, I think of the song People, I'm with Stupid. And what I always love about his vocals isn't so much the heavier, like say, like Black and White or Cold and things like that. But go back to track like I'm with Stupid, where he is the speed at which he's sort of singing those lyrics and there's nuances in the ups and downs of the tempo as he's keeping like one breath and flying through this before it's the chorus. That shit is immense. That's what I always come back to, is I love that song. We'll probably have to do a reaction that one day because I don't think you're too familiar with that, are you?
Not massively. I'm not really.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of the one album, Black and White or whatever it was, the album that had that on it, Machine, and maybe a couple of tracks potentially that I don't realize like were on a different album. That's pretty much it. But even with Machine, there's like 2 songs in it that I thought were okay. And that was it. Yeah.
I kind of want to put them in great, but maybe at the end of great after M Shadows.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue against it. I don't have too strong an opinion. I know the songs that I do like from him, I never had a problem with his vocals in them. So.
Okay, right. No, that's good then. That's our list done. So in Iconic, it was really straightforward in the end. It was Freddie Mercury, Isan, Quorthon, Tarja, and Michael Poulsen. And I think that all fits wonderfully. And also moving on to the final round eventually will be Corpse Grinder, Tobias Sammet, Max Cavalera, Greg Pruciata, Howard Jones, Lane Staley, Lita Ford, M Shadows, and Wayne Stagg. I mean, that's a fucking strong setup of vocalists there. It really is.
Yep.
There you go. There's our latest round of 30 vocalists. Look, just don't be a dick in the comments. So share your opinion. You know, all right, we put a vocalist who you think's amazing in a lower category, and so on. We get it. That's why we keep stressing. It's our list, it's our opinion, it's our personal taste more than anything else. But what's your personal taste? E.g., would you look at it and go, you know what, man, people overrate Freddie Mercury, or Michael Poulsen's just got with the same star. Why is he up so high and things like that? By all means, let us know.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?